This how's the experience going for you so far?
Pretty fine.
Pretty fine. Well, what's your rating? What's your ratings? Well, you haven't even done it yet.
I'm pretty optimistic, so I'll give it a 7.5 currently.
And that's actually better than I thought. Oh, mate, is that what are you drinking? It is that just water?
Yeah, I was gonna get a bev before, but I didn't have time, so just water.
Do you know what? I was thinking of doing the same thing, but at the same time, it's not always a bad thing to be sober and do one of these.
I mean, I think have you got too drunk on like stream things in the past and chatted some
It's
donkey?
not been too bad, other than the goat shed incident. You might did you see
Tell,
that?
tell me, tell me about that. Tell me about that.
Uh, well, it was my birthday, and it was the goat. Do you remember the stay at home like the after show that
Yeah.
that happened? And
Well, what was that after show again?
it was like a multiple person stream. There was like lots of people doing it.
Was it like chatting like this? Sort of.
Yeah, yeah, through Discord. There was quite a lot of people in, like Adam and Chris, and we're kind of doing a roundup of the stay at home festival and giving away like prizes and stuff. And
How was that?
I got, oh yeah, I ended up getting roped into a drinking game basically.
Oh
Uh,
dear. Say no more.
yeah, so there is footage of me on the internet that happening. I think I think we are live, by the way. Oh wait, is it? Are we actually live? I have hit.
Houston, are we live?
Houston, are we live? Is Facebook allowing me to be live?
Yeah, it's live.
It is. Oh, we actually have got 12 people. Yeah, yeah.
We're live.
Big up to anyone
Okay,
that is watching. Oh,
let the
I'm
game
trying to ring.
begin.
Um, yeah, yeah. Hello everyone. Sorry about that. We were just getting a bit roped up, wrapped up. But yeah, I'm big up to anyone that has logged in so far or is looking in. We are here tonight for another edition of Overviewed, in which I interview an extended member of the drum bass family, usually a member of the Overview family, has been all Overview people so far. Uh, on the show for the first time tonight, we have a young producer who is out of Newcastle, kind of one of the next generation of producers that's appearing from that city. He's had one release on Overview before, and he's back now with his next EP, the Source Code EP. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the one and only Nectax.
Good evening, everyone. Hello, the world.
There we go. We are actually live across the world right now. So I don't know where. Give us a shout out from anyone where anyone is to this evening. Um,
What's on the agenda this evening, then, Pete?
what's on my agenda this evening?
Sure.
Well, we've got to do this. We've got to sort a few bits out. There's quite a bit. There's quite a bit going on at the moment. A lot of like some events and releases, and obviously, look, we got your release out tomorrow.
Well, yes,
Um,
it certainly crept up, and it's certainly crept up date wise. But I think I've just been sitting on these tunes for. I think the title track source code is like. I think I made that over a year ago now, and it all sort of started from then. I'm trying to think back to how the EP came together in terms of sending it over to you guys, because I think I sent over source code ages ago, and then I think we were going to do a single with like source code and halogen, and then you were suggested we do an EP, and I was like, yeah, let's do it, and then it sort of came from there.
yeah, well, like you're saying, like it was just grew out of that one idea, and then it's now become like quite a large EP. I mean, it's yeah, yeah.
It's tracker indeed.
Why not? Why not go for it? Like I think as a complete body of work. I mean, did you have the kind of notion to actually really formulate an idea around the EP? Is there like a bit of a thought
Sort
process?
of. I think the EP for me was sort of a chance to like I think after I did clock out and stateless, I was a little bit surprised by how well it did, to be honest. Like I think clock out did really well, and then also stateless was getting a lot of. It was like they were pleasing sort of different crowds in terms of like, and I just like that appeal in terms of sort of you've got the heavier, darker club tracks, and then you've got the sort of slightly different sort of little bit of an oddball sort of a track. So I think Basically, since then, I sort of enjoyed entertaining the idea of doing. Well, I've just been enjoying doing more sort of more deeper sort of minimalist, well, more stuff on that sort of a tip. But obviously, I've got some other influences in the melting pot. So I think the EP was just sort of my first body of work doing like a more minimal inspired, like half minimal, half my other sort of flavors. So I think that plus having like Beyond Stateless, I just really liked. I think Stateless was one of my favorite tunes I ended up releasing last year. So I had to get I wanted to get some sort of follow up for that for the EP. Just feel like it's sort of like a lot of the tunes like Parasite and Halogen and Source Code are all quite like, I don't know, like not exactly straightforward. Well, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's just my perspective on, but I think their Source Code especially is sort of quite.
Well, like you're saying, just like a proper like kind of more of a club tune, in a little way, like got that kind of.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah, I mean, but yeah, and so it was nice to get Beyond Stateless on there, just to sort of add a bit of a melodic, alternative sort of angle to it all. But now I'm really happy with how it all came together. Especially, to be honest, I think even though there's 6 tracks on there, I think I am actually really happy with the quality of the tracks individually. I feel like they are quite the package. It's quite a nice package. Like I think it's like a few club tunes. Then you've got the Hexa collab, which I think gives a real nice. It's like spectrum. It's like that one's a real sort of slapper. So it's like the other ones are sort of playing with the idea of being they're sort of like edging on. It's almost like a spectrum. I don't know. I haven't thought about it like this before, but it's almost like you've got Beyond Stateless on one side, which is very melodic, almost sort of progressive, sort of forward-thinking drum bass in terms of the melody sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And you've got like Phantom on the other side with Hexa, which is just like straight up, just like bass slapper, nothing really. You know what I mean? It's like, I mean, the other tracks sort of have their place in terms of on that line. So I'm happy with the basses I managed to touch on the EP. I always think it's good when I always used to think it was a good shout seeing people do EPs and there'd be like a bit of a wild card track on there. I think just to show that you're not a one trick pony style wise, I think it's something I try and do on EPs. So I'm glad it turned out that way.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely are an artist. You have kind of got quite a varied sound and approach to what you do. I mean, this is obviously like probably the more the darkest thing. I mean,
I would, definitely. I think for a while I felt like I didn't like the fact how I didn't have one sound, but more and more as time goes by, I think that my sound almost is the fact that I do a few different styles. And I mean, I might not know it myself, but I mean, I don't think of it like this, but people have said, oh, that sounds like a da-da-da track. And I'm like, oh, you reckon? But I mean, maybe there's things I do in each track, which is obvious to someone who isn't me. Because obviously, when you lose objectivity of your own creative stuff, when you're sort of always immersed in it, you don't think of it from like a different, like the consumer or the listener's perspectives. You know what I mean? So I know that was a little bit mental, but
no, it's good. It's good to like, hear what you're thinking on it, and a little bit of the kind of philosophy behind what you do. And because like saying it can be tough to make music that can do that sometimes. I think to be able to, like you're saying, like showcase being able to accomplish different styles of the genre, like obviously it has a broader appeal, and they tend to be a lot of my favorite artists as well that do really mix it up with where they release as well. I mean, where else have you obviously you've been releasing a few different places.
I think that's sort of definitely is a continuation of what I was describing before. Like, I think I just want to try and, well, I think because I want to try and just touch all the labels, which are maybe like stand, you know what I mean? It's like try the different routes. So for example, like, so I think for like, I've done some releases with Program and Ram, which was some of the stuff I was really glad about finishing last year on. And I've done some bits and bobs with Chronic and the sort of V family, but it was on Chronic. I had a Blind Spot was a single I had come out on Chronic, which was a tune which I was really happy with. And then what else? I think that another thing which I'm looking forward to after this year is I'm doing the EP for Guidance, which is I've almost finished that EP, and I think that once again is sort of me trying out that sort of a sound, or like not trying out, but like piecing together all the tracks I've done on that sort of a sound. And like, I think I quite like the other cons. I think EPs work well for sort of, I think I didn't do an EP last year and I sort of regretted a little bit. And I'm glad that this year I'm really happy with this overview EP. And then I've got the Guidance EP, which is almost done. I think I sent you one of the tracks off that, which was called Villain a couple of months ago. That sort of big intro, sort of almost like a metalheadsy sort of style.
Proper jungle, like lots of
yeah.
lots of yeah.
Yeah, so as you say, it's like I think I've got that sort of darker, minimal side, and then I've also got that jungle. Obviously, I do love my jungle. Like I make a lot of 160 stuff just for fun, and hopefully we'll get some of that released this year. But no, I like that side of the scene as well, like sort of Sherelle and Fixate and sort of them lot, and that sort of. I like the crossovers between the different sort of UK electronic music scenes, and I think that I'd love to see more of that. As in, I think that some people in drum and bass, no one in particular, but I just feel like sometimes people are a bit closed-minded sometimes in terms of like drum bass, whereas I like the fact how there's a similar vibe across different sort of genres. So it's like you've got, like I enjoy a lot of like UK 140 stuff as well, like Carnanique and sort of Komodo and those sort of people, like sort of deep medi sort of stuff, you know, that sort of vibe. And I don't know, there's sort of pockets within each of the scenes which sort of you can almost like, it's basically just the drums which are different. Like a lot of the vibes and the moods in the tracks are similar, but they just have got different tempos and different drum beats. So I think I listen to a lot of different stuff on some of the stuff which I mentioned there. So I feel like that sort of all comes together. Yeah, but I know coming back to the overview EP, I think it was just great to, I don't know, I just really enjoyed working with you guys for Clock Out and Stateless, and I've had it really well. So I was thinking, I like the totally like direction that you guys are going, and I think you're going to be around for a long time and definitely going to be big players in the years to come. So I think doing an EP with you guys is something which definitely wanted to do, and hopefully do some sort of EP at some point in the future.
When's the Nectax album? When's the album coming? Have you thought of doing it or not? I'm not that I'm like making a subtle hint or anything, but that's good. If you're talking about what you're doing, then
it's a good question. You know, that is a good question. I think
you must have considered it. You must have considered it before.
Totally. Yeah, no, it's something I definitely like. I definitely intend to do at some point. I'm not even sure what label or vibe or whatever would be appropriate. Like I'm totally open in terms of those things, but it's something which I would really want to take my time on. And I know a lot of people say that, and I just feel it's doing an album in drum bass. I think is really hard to pull off like these days, just in terms of how people consume music in the digital, you know what I mean? It's like, I think like certain big artists pull it off really well. And I'm just trying to think. So for example, I think Chasing Status and Dimension have actually respectively did a really good job, I think, of promoting their albums in terms of doing like big singles off the album and then having like quite a bit of time in between each of them. So then we could hype up each single like a month or however long was in between them. And then it's sort of like, I think because sometimes if you, like say if you did it all in a short space of time, it may have worked like 10 years ago when people all were buying sort of, you know, like it's different now when people hear tracks like, I don't know if I'm explaining this particularly well, but I think, yeah, I would, back to what you mentioned. Yes, I would definitely like to do an album. I'm just...
How you necessarily go about that is like...
Yeah, I know. I'm not sure how I'd go about it, but it's definitely something I'd like to do. And I think to be honest, the Source Code EP sort of, basically that principle, which I've done with the overview EP, but just like expanded out to however many tracks would be appropriate for an album. So like maybe a few wildcard tracks, sort of a few tracks along the lines of like Beyond Stateless or Stateless, like a little bit to that sort of style, then a few jungle tracks, a few darker jungle tracks, and then a few sort of
you've got to get some interludes in there, and
of course, you're gonna have some crazy interludes, don't you? It's not an album if you don't have just like a minute of just a pad.
yeah, that's what I mean, man. You gotta like get creative. But I could definitely see that like working really well, like you're saying, considering that you've got a lot of like influences in that a bit. You know, how have you been finding writing music? Like, because obviously you've written most of this EP in lockdown. Like you'd say this is
true. That's a good question actually. I know that a lot of people, and people I know have definitely struggled to make music during lockdown, and
Mm.
I sort of haven't for some reason.
You're still sat at your computer fundamentally, like.
Yeah, literally, and I think that I can totally see why people have struggled. But I think as in terms of when I've spoken to different people, it all revolved around a lot of their motivation and their habits came from making a bit of an idea, but like making a rough track idea, playing it out, then getting hyped up off the feedback or from like the response of playing out at a rave, or maybe like I think it's a different movement of how people send music to each other and like how people play it out. And I can see how people without that can struggle to get that same motivation. But I don't know. I'm not sure exactly what I do, which works for me. But
well, you work like obviously. Wait, no, you said you've been producing. I mean, were you working throughout lockdown as well? I mean,
yeah, I was doing a couple of different part-time jobs for like the majority of lockdown, but very recent. Well, about a month ago, I changed to doing like music full time, which was something I'm really happy about doing. And I'm obviously, well, not obviously, but I think a lot of my income at the minute comes from doing like one-to-ones, like music, like online music production one-to-ones, similar sort of service to what people offer through Patreon, but I just sort of do focus pretty much precisely on like doing one-to-ones over Zoom. So if you're interested,
what, me? You want me to sign up? Should I sign up? Where if I was to where would I be able to sign up? Or do you just contact you? Have you got an email? Do people contact you on email?
I have got an email. Like I think usually people will just message me saying they're interested on Instagram or Facebook, and I'll just be like, "Sounds good," and then I'll just give them my email, and then if people are serious, then they'll drop me an email, and we can sort of take it from there. But it's been really good fun.
How long have you been doing that? Sorry, how long have you been doing that now? You've been doing that quite a while.
I've been doing that sort of like I started doing it. Actually, that's a good question. Actually, so I think I've actually been doing it for maybe quite a few, maybe about 2 or 3 years, maybe a bit more. So I started doing it like basically I would do it. I think the first people I ever did it with was like Chris Castro, Harry Hexer, and another lad from Newcastle called Kyle KL. And so I started like I would do it sort of input. Like I wouldn't do it as often back then, but I think I don't know how I even started doing it, but I think I can remember seeing people like Heist and other people doing it, and that costed like a large amount of money to do it with their people. And I was just thinking, I could probably offer a decent service for like a very decent price. So I thought like if people were interested, then people would be interested. And then I sort of just slowly grew over time and got to a point now where I was doing it alongside my part-time job, and I was like, I could probably just organize. I could probably just make an like I had to make a waiting list. It's like people were getting in touch wanting to do it, and I was just like,
I'm getting overwhelmed of people.
You know what I mean? So eventually I had one bad day at work, and I was like, you know what? Today's the day where I hand my notice in, and I did, and then it's all been. That was a month ago, and it's all been pretty smooth sailing since. And
so this is a very recent thing then, literally.
Yeah, about a month ago. Like I was doing maybe 2 or 3 one-to-ones a week alongside my part-time job, like online ones, just over Zoom, how I normally do it. And then I was like, people were like getting in touch, wanting to do them, but I didn't actually have enough time in the week to do it. So I was just like,
put 2 and 2 together in a way.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, I enjoy doing the one-to-one stuff more, and it's better. It was better money, a lot better money, obviously, than my last job. So if I can hold my organization, I was thinking if I can just be organized enough, and I think I'm pretty organized generally. So I was like, took the leap of faith eventually, and then it's been absolutely fine. Yeah, just doing about I aim to do like 5 one-to-ones a week, and that like usually people will do like 1 to 2 hour sessions, and that makes is better for me money wise than what I was on doing the part-time work. So I've just been enjoying doing that alongside obviously producing and different music bits and bobs. But yeah, no, it's really good to be full-time music pretty much now. It's been something which I've wanted to do for ages, but we got there in the end.
Yeah, no, mate, that's definitely a real cause for celebration, man. That's a really awesome thing to see. Like, you know, I mean, I'm guessing that most of your clients, like, or clients, where like, are they people from your area, or have you literally got people from all over? Like,
good question. Let me have a think. I think it very much started off as I would it was people from Newcastle, or like the north, well, mainly just Newcastle, to be honest. But then like I'd meet them, like I'd invite them around to mine, and we could just sit in mine, and they could come with a few tunes which they wanted in-depth feedback on, and then we'd listen to them, and I'd sort of give them my approach in terms of sort of pushing them a bit in terms of their mix downs or the arrangement, or like who they could send their tunes to, what would be good for them, sort of not just specifically about production, but whatever they needed to sort of almost like, I don't know what the right word for it, but yeah, a bit of guidance literally. Yeah. So and then it sort of went from there, and then I realized that I could do them online over Zoom, and that could also work. And then that has totally opened up loads of possibilities, because like just recently I've started doing them with this nice lad from Switzerland called Melville, and it's just like the fact that I can just the fact that I can just call this guy at like 2 PM, and he's over in like Geneva or wherever he is, and I'm just like, I just think that's great, and it's all shout out to him having good English as well, you know what I mean? It's like, but like, it's just, I just
teach him in Swiss.
I just think the concept is how there's a lot of freedom. Like I think me and my girlfriend are thinking about moving somewhere like in a couple of years time, and just knowing that I could always I can literally, all I need is like some headphones or my speakers and my laptop and
an internet connection.
Yeah, exactly. Very true.
You do also need that.
Fiber optic broadband.
yeah, that would also be handy.
But yeah, and it's pretty. No, it's just they're all working well so far.
Where would you move to? Where are you thinking of, if you could?
Well, we were thinking either Bristol or Amsterdam. Just
obviously, where does it? If you're in drum and bass and you go, where am I going to move to? Bristol. You're going to move to Bristol, obviously.
I know. So we may do Bristol, but I think we're leaning more towards Amsterdam, just to do it. You know, when people say like, you know, when they I wish I'd done this, I wish I'd done that. We were just thinking, well, why don't we just move to Amsterdam for a year? Like just because realistically, it's quite a well-connected. I'm pretty sure it's quite a well-connected city, transport-wise. So, and it's actually not too far away from, like, in terms of like geographically, it's actually.
Oh, it's so close, really.
It's so close. So it's sort of like you get to go to a different, like, basically go somewhere completely different, but also it's not too far away from home. So
yeah, the Netherlands does seem like just like a much better Britain in a way, like, and it's really well. To be fair, I actually think that I can actually get from where I am to Amsterdam quicker than I can get from where I am up to you. That's the isn't that crazy? Isn't that so crazy? That's crazy. But you're not from, you're not from the same country, or like they're not from the same country. You know what I mean, or whatever.
That reminds me of when you got me and Mr. Scant down for that overview night, and like travel wise, it was just like it was. So, I remember looking on Google Maps and we were flying down. And I was like, it's so far from Newcastle to Brighton. It's so far. But really, I mean, it's not in terms of the world. It's not that far, but in terms of like, it just felt like it was so far.
It was far. I think sometimes as Brits we kind of don't appreciate travel as much. I don't know, or like how close things really are in a way. Like you think it's a lot further away, but yeah, like you're saying, like you go to somewhere like Holland or wherever. You're not that far away, really. If you're gonna go to like Japan or something, then it might be a bit far. Or New Zealand.
Oh yes, New Zealand. That's an interesting point of conversation. Just in terms of like, I'm just totally impressed by how everything just seems crazy for drum and bass over there. It's quite insane how it's like they totally are really. They seem a lot more. I mean, like the youth. It's like it seems more the thing. I don't know how to describe it, but I feel like everyone's really excited about it, and it's like a lot of it's like more of a thing for young people culturally over there. I think that's just my impression. I might be wrong, but like I think it is in the UK, but not consistently. Like maybe in different parts of the UK.
They're like actually like nationally proud of it. I think.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. That's what I mean. That's what I mean.
Like, I don't if that's the right thing. I don't know. They seem it like they say like the New Zealand rugby team like comes out to drum and bass and stuff. They were saying. I don't know if you watched that little documentary they did on DMBA.
I've watched it briefly, but I intend to watch it fully. Like, but I like that though. I don't know. It's just great to see other parts of the world get really excited about like UK music, but specifically obviously drum and bass is in New Zealand's case.
Have you got any plans to go out, or have you been speaking about it, or is that classified information?
You
could do it.
Oh, definitely something I hope comes up. I think it definitely will come up in the near future. I
Any
haven't got any
any
plans.
any New Zealand promoters that are watching right now, please book your boy.
I mean,
Please
obviously,
book your
I'd love to
boy.
go out there. I think you know what I mean. I think it's things are bubbling away in other areas, and I think that it's just I see it one of them things where it's almost like I back in the day when I think like Jump Up used to be very popular on SoundCloud, and that was sort of like or even just on the internet. Like maybe it's about
Mm.
4 or 5 years, like maybe 3 or 4 years ago. It was just like that was the sort of the pinnacle of what any 17, 18-year-old sort of SoundCloud producer would aspire to be. And then at the time, it was like Belgian booking was like a thing. Do you remember those days, Pete? Do you remember like the Belgian booking days when it would be like, have you got your first booking in Belgium? When everyone was on that sort of vibe. I don't know. I
I,
don't know.
I didn't. Well, I didn't get too. I saw some people that did sort of get a bit like not caught up in it, but obviously when it was like exploded to be a big thing. Like you're saying, it's weird how you have those kind of something happens somewhere for like a number of years. Like that lasted for a while, and then it's not quite the same now. But
Yeah.
you played in Belgium a few times? Then did
I
you?
did, yeah. It was just. I think I did have a couple of bookings, but I only actually ended up going out there once. But it was honestly, it was great. Like, I think it was. See, it's funny that area because it's like on a sort of side note. Like, I think like so for like me and obviously Scant, yeah. Like obviously we're friends and known each other for years, and us two sort of plus a lot of certain other current producers actually came from like we sort of came up together in terms of like a cohort, so to speak.
Mm,
And I think
mm,
other people who are it's sort of tied just reminded me of it because so like operate. I'm good friends with him now, and it like I sort of got chatted to more and more over the years, and he's my guy basically. But
mm. Big up to the proper, right?
yeah, yes, and it's like Dan Clinical as well, and it's just like we were all like, we were all cutting our teeth in the sort of online world, SoundCloud sort of, you know what I mean, like getting our
Mm,
foothold in the drum bass sort of drum bass scene at a similar time. And I
mm,
think that a lot of people who are getting into it now might not know that, and I just think it's funny because it's like I remember seeing I don't know, it's just interesting how people sort of mature production wise and go off in different directions. But then if you trace what all comes back to, I remember like chatting to like
mm.
Clinical and Operate and Scan, and I'm trying to think, it's like Suki and K9 as well. To be fair, like I remember like
K motions.
yeah, literally this is what I mean. It's like we were
Mm,
like I mean some people were slightly different, but honestly, I remember like as in like being a time where like I'm pretty sure that like both Suki, I was gonna do a collab with like both Suki and K9 at different points in time, but then it never turned out. And then looking back, I'd be like, oh, I probably should have done that at the time. But then,
that could have been me.
yeah. But I
Wow.
mean,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
my point is that I think it's just a case of I do this because I enjoy it, and I don't
Mm,
think that I totally feel like the music game is just a matter of determination and putting your effort in the right places. And I think that I don't plan to stop, and so I think the same could be said for any producer who sort of has a vision for what if you stand out, if you sort of find what you can bring to the table in terms of standing out from other producers, and if you just stick at it, work with the right labels, I think anyone could achieve really like any level. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like sort of
mm, mm.
and I would say I feel like I mean, if you don't believe it, you could do. You've got to have that sort of like it's hard at times. Like obviously, everyone has self doubt and stuff. I think every producer does, but I think it's all about just keeping that motivation up and like you know, what I mean, it's not you know, what I mean, like
Not looking at it from the glory and the all the success or whatever, and just put the yards in, do the hard work, and
I think
keep at it, sort of thing.
totally, and I think that any like something like I mean, if you weren't in, you know, it's I'm not sure how to word this, but it's sort of like not meaning to be arrogant at all because I don't think I'm like that, but I would like to seem like I don't. It's something. Let me think. It's like I don't know what the word is, but like I like to think, not like to think, but I don't know. I don't see like there's I don't know. Thinking of like a ceiling to your career isn't really. I don't really see the logic in that in terms of like. I mean, you set up yourself for where you want to be. Like, if you want
Mm,
to be this level of producer, then you go and work with them labels. But if you want, or if you want to be this level, you know what I mean? Like, you can it's just a choice in terms of how much work do you want to put in, what connections do you want to build, and I feel like the sky's the limit really in terms of. I know that sounds a bit cliche, but I mean, I don't. I'm not really. It's hard to sort of.
How long have you been? How long have you been in it now? Then how long have you been?
About 7 years, I would say.
Okay.
6 or 7 years. I think I've been
You must have
producing.
started pretty. You must have started pretty young then. You were like what, like
I'm
15?
23.
How old are
I
you?
know.
What, younger than that?
I'm
What,
I'm actually
13?
16. I'm actually 16.
You're
No,
about 16.
it was my sweet 16th not too long ago.
Does your mum know? Does your mum know that you're doing this podcast right now? Have you got a permission? You got a permission?
Don't tell mum.
Don't tell mum.
But yeah, no, I'm 23, and
So,
I think I had FL Studio for. I've always had it. I remember messing around with it on my computer when I was in middle school, and then I think
so how old were you? How old was that? My maths is terrible. What, like 15?
it's fine.
15, 16?
Yeah, I was about like it was. I think so. I was dabbling with it, and I think I started doing it, making more of a habit of producing when I was maybe like 17 or 18, like around then. In terms of like actually making songs and finishing them rather than just like sort of pissing
Mucking around
around.
with loops and yeah.
Yeah, but it was all about SoundCloud back then. It was weird. Like I think I didn't appreciate the value of networking and how it all worked in terms of like how you do grow as an artist and who like. But I mean, you've got to learn it for yourself. I think it's like, and I think it's totally something which you just, as I was referring to before, from my experience, it's just been about keeping at it, being determined, just like try and find what works for you in terms of what allows you to consistently bring out decent, like good, fairly unique track. You know what I mean? Build up a sort of profile for you and find out what you can bring to the table. Like it doesn't always have to be like necessarily like production ability. Like as long as you're obviously that is mixed sounds.
That's reasonably important. But
Yeah, no, don't get me wrong. I for one definitely get like obsessed about mixed down stuff and like perfecting them and or trying my best to do what I can. And I've always felt like mixed downs is something which obviously fundamentally important by getting your tracks played out by that. And that's something which I've always tried to hold close to my sort of, you know what I mean, in terms of like something which I value as being important as a producer is respecting that you have to. Well, I mean, most producers these days, like I mean, back in the day, people would have engineers and stuff, but I think these days you've got to be a bit of a one-man band, and it's really hard at times. And I think like you have to make the tracks. Most people make tracks, mix down, like engineer the tracks, and then I master most of my own tunes. Well, pretty much all the tunes I've ever released, I've mastered them. So it's sort of a lot of listening to the same tracks, and it's easier to lose that objectivity about is this good, is this bad? Because it's just like when you listen to one word over and over again, it's like it starts to sound weird. That sort of phenomenon. I'm sure you know what I mean in terms of like when you listen to a song loads, you almost hate it, even if you do like the track, you just get sick of it. That principle, I think.
Well, like you're saying, if you're involved in so many stages of that, process, are you actually like? Did you actually train? Did you actually go to production like college or as well? Or
good question. So I was mainly self-taught through YouTube. It was actually a funny story.
YouTube, big up YouTube.
There's a funny big up YouTube. There's a funny story here, which is like, so I did do a little bit of it in school, but it was like, so I did do an A level in music technology, and the story behind that, but that was sort of the reason why I did that wasn't so much it was more so just because I thought I could get a good grade in it, better than what I could get in perhaps, like I was doing a few different subjects at like first year of sixth form, and I did pretty well. And then when I got into like the second year, I was realizing I don't know if I'm going to be able to get as good grades as I got in the first year. Like doing for like philosophy, for example, was really hard. And I was thinking, I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull off at like a B or an A in philosophy because it was really hard. And I was thinking, I mean, maybe I could have, but I was just thinking, what can I definitely get like a really good grade? And I was thinking, wait a minute, I'm pretty sure my school will do like an AQA music technology, like A level. And then this was like one term in to the last year of school. I was like, I'm just going to see if I can blag to my music teachers about me doing 2 years of music technology A level and so compact that into 2 terms. And basically they took a lot of convincing, but eventually after showing them some of the tracks I'd done and sort of explaining, trying to just basically blagged them, saying like, I'm pretty sure I'll be able to get a good grade in this. Don't worry about it. Sort of like, it wasn't like that. Like it was more, but it was like, that was the general gist of it. Cause they were very understandably quite apprehensive. Like, you want to do 2 years of A level in like 6 to 8 months. And I was just like, yes, please.
and you passed. I'm hoping this.
I actually ended up getting the highest mark anyone had got in the school ever in that A level. So
really.
So that was reassuring to see.
That was a good day.
Yeah, that was a good day. Definitely.
Yeah. Fair. So yeah. So you. This was all self-taught stuff though, even before that. Really.
Yeah. Honestly, it was mainly just years of watching YouTube videos and losing my mind at mixdowns and mastering, and then trying to just go back in and watch more videos and, oh, you can do it this way, you can do it that way. But so this is another reason why I think I've gravitated towards doing the one-to-one stuff. It's like as a job now, is because I think that I wish that when I was a couple of years into producing, you hit a bit of a wall where it's like, once you get the grips with it, and you work out what all the different, what EQ means and high pass filter, or you work out what all you learn all the different terms. It's like applying it and like knowing where to use things is like, and even just how to grow as an artist and how to find your own sound and not just copy people. I think it takes so long. And I was just thinking, if I could have just had a quick back and forth with a producer who was like, had a few more years on the clock than me, I think it can just save you so much, like searching endlessly for different answers from different people, like, because there are different ways to do things, and like there's no perfect way. From my experience, there's no perfect way to like mix down a track. Like there's different approaches, which different sort of different techniques and different things which work for different people's sort of styles. Like, and I think that basically like now when I do one-to-ones with people, I just sort of try and get my headset, try and think of like basically adapt, try and get in that person's shoes and think like what would work for them, like what sort of style of music they're making, like if they're making jungle or trying to make minimal stuff. There's sort of different approaches from my experience in terms of like little tips and tricks specific to that sub genre of drum bass in terms of production. But that being said, I think there's actually loads more ways to learn drum bass production these days than even a few years ago. Like I remember when I was getting into it, maybe it's 5 or 6 years ago, like trying to take it a bit more seriously, you just had to search endlessly across YouTube videos, and even just watch like a lot of dubstep tutorials for like bass design and stuff, just because there wasn't really, I mean, there was a lot of good drum and bass production videos, but it was more like hour long. It was like in the studio with audio for an hour, great video, in the studio with break for an hour, those sort of things. There wasn't like quick, easy to consume.
This is how you quickly do this.
Yeah,
like,
literally. And so it just took ages to watch loads of long videos, which I think some people struggle to do. You know what I mean? I think like a lot of people, it's like if you've been dabbling with producing, you hit a bit of a wall. A lot of people it's easier to just if you could just type in how to, like, as in like, say you wanted to make your build up was lacking like tension and hype, and you were like, how do I make my build-ups more exciting, what sort of things, like you couldn't type that in, whereas now I guarantee you could just type up how to make a good build-up in like a drum bass track, and there'd be something on YouTube for you. Like and I think the Patreon stuff as well is another really cool thing which has come about in recent times. I think like seeing different producers of different levels offer, like, bring something to the table with their own Patreon stuff. I think it's really great to see. Like it's sort of it's just tailored to people, isn't it? It's great, and I think. Are you
thinking of doing that at all?
It's something I've definitely considered, but I think I'm busy enough as is doing like the sort of one. Like I think the sort of stuff I would want to do on my Patreon would probably be more orientated towards the one-to-one side of things anyway. So I was already doing the one-to-one stuff and sort of had a system of.
I could see it doing well, and especially I mean anyone that does come on the show, or we do talk to, or I do sort of stress people, like, you definitely should at least like seriously consider it. I'm sure you probably have, but especially if you've just gone like full time as well, like, I don't know, man, like it seems like it's got money sitting there in a way and put a bit of
You're right.
work in. But you got a bit more time. You got a bit more time now.
Yeah, but the irony is I actually have less time. That's the thing. Like, it's I spend
No,
I spend
no,
I
no, no.
spend I spend a lot of time like doing like admin stuff. It's like a lot. Like, I'll get a lot of emails through for one-to-one stuff, and then I'm organizing it in my calendar, and then it'll be like people will want to change times. And I was like, I should probably come up with Well, my dad keeps going on to me about coming up with like a digitalized calendar system for booking in the dates and stuff, because in terms of like the slots, because at the minute I just use my phone calendar and then like a paper calendar. So I think it can sometimes, I mean, alongside doing production, and it's like a lot of it in terms of like working with labels and other different bits and bobs. Like I'm working on a producer, like a sample pack for like by the producer, and just other sort of bits and bobs in the mix. It's sort of alongside actually trying to finish tracks for projects like this and that. It's a lot of the same sort of stuff. So I don't know. I mean, yeah, and I think alongside, it's good, but it's just quite full on. Like, if I'm doing,
what do you do for to wind down? Then what's your what's outside of music? What else do you do?
So I used to do a lot of skateboarding, but I've sort of I used to skate loads, but I sort of haven't had the time. Oh no, I've just got out of a habit of it. But the thing I do a lot these days is play CS:GO. That's my sort of
CS:GO. Which one's that? Which one's that one?
Counter-Strike Global Offensive.
Okay, right.
That's my sort of little pastime, bit of fun. But,
unwind a bit.
Yeah, no, that's I do enjoy doing that. But I mean, I'm trying to think what I do. I think the days just fly by. Like I'll wake up, do a bit of like work on a track for a bit, and then I'll have like a one-to-one session, like 12 till 2, and then like that then after that I'll like check my emails again, see who's sort of I'll have my schedule for like one-to-ones booked in. Like I'll get basically like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, just one a day, and then usually it's a couple hours, and then I'll try and get some if I've got deadlines for like releases or stuff. Like I think it's just been a bit hectic recently. Now that I think about it, like Sophie was saying, just my girlfriend, she was just like, "Are you sure you're just not really busy because you've got your EP out this week?" And I was just like, "I guess that's a good point." In terms of like it's like if we've been promoting like every day, and it's like I think that's probably been, you know what I mean? I think next week or maybe in a couple of weeks' time when things have calmed down a bit promo wise, I'll probably be like, I do actually have more time now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, but that being said, I'm really happy with how the promo has gone for the EP, and I think what do you think about how do you think it's going so far? I mean,
yeah, man, no, mate. I think it's going down well. Like again, for us to kind of like do the next kind of release following on from the last one, and I think you're really good at what you do, and yeah, it's going really well. Like you're saying, it's something important for us. Really making sure we get on the case with promotion. I mean, it can be. It can, like you're saying, it can be a lot.
It's a tricky game, and I think that especially considering how you guys have got a very high quality mixed with release speed of release. It's like it's a very well-oiled machine in terms of like curating strong releases and then getting as many out, sort of as many as you can without it being oversaturated in a year. Or you know what I mean? But I don't know. What's your sort of thoughts on that? But I think the way
yeah, I mean, it can be a fun line to kind of guide, like to be able to stay consistent and keep it interesting, and like, and again, I think that, the hardest thing is obviously maintaining a real like bar as well, bar of quality, and that balance between releasing enough but not releasing too much, and
it's one of the areas of overview I think which I think I most like about. Well, it's two different. I think you guys. Considering you're a relatively new label, I think your promo game is up to par, if not better, than a lot of bigger labels, in my opinion. Just in terms of, I don't know what it is, but I just like
it's the memes. All it is it's just memes. It's just doing memes.
I don't know what it is. Maybe it's memes, but it's like I don't know. It's just I think even bigger label. I think like you're a very music orientated label, and I think that shows.
I think we're lucky because I think the thing that we obviously between me and Ollie and maybe like one or like maybe like Matt Museum as well, like with the artwork, but we kind of all
big shout to him. Big
big
shout to
shout out
Matt
to Matt
Music.
Museum. Yeah, big shout out to Matt Museum.
I think you guys just have a good system. I totally forgot to mention. I think the whole aesthetic of overview and the consistent graphics work by both yourself and Matt Museum is just definitely a big part of the puzzle for me, which makes it work. I think it's really important to have a good marketing and like visuals and stuff. And I think that being said, Mr. Sabanix as well is like handling the video side of things. It's
That's
like
that's what I mean.
That's what I mean. Everyone's good at. It's like it's just efficient. It's great. Like it's like quick. Like I can always, you know what I mean. It's like you and Museum sort the art, and I mean, so you and Ollie curate the music, and then he is quick. He does a really quick return on doing all the animations. It's like there's very little Chinese whispers and waiting around for people. It's all like we can do it. Let's do it now. As in like you know what I mean, being spontaneous. Like you know what I mean. It's like you want to do something, do it. You've got their small team who are all great at doing their own. It's not you know what I mean. It's not watered down. Is you know, I don't know. I just like this sort of, and I think that allows you guys to do strong releases regularly. I think.
It's, I mean, it can be a workload to definitely like, like say do all of this, or every 3 weeks.
Very good point.
But yeah, I enjoy it. Obviously, it does take a bit of work. Putting in the hard work for it, and then you get the results. The results come off, and then obviously putting a lot of good music out, and
yes, that's another good bonus of all of it. It's like I think for me, I don't know. I feel more comfortable putting my tunes out. I don't know. I don't know about more comfortable, but I think I know that if I sign tunes to Overview, they'll do at least good. Well, like there's no. I feel like none of your releases ever fall through the gaps. Like they either do well or really really well. You know what I mean? I don't know how you feel about that, but I just feel like you consistently get high in the Beatport charts. Like literally consistently get really really high numbers, and it's like. You can't argue with that fact. And as a producer thinking, I'd want to work with a label who always puts out good music and always sells well. You know what I mean? It's like, and obviously I know you guys and I get along with you, so it seems like a no-brainer.
It
seems like a no-brainer.
Well, we building a bit of a family and whatever, and obviously we make it. I think it's about making a high bar for entry. Do you know what I mean? Like
that is true. I think. Yeah, you've obviously got a different perspective on it for me, but I think going back to what you just mentioned there, I think having a high quality control is something which that's another thing. Like I know, like obviously when we were putting together the source code EP, like there were quite a few tracks which didn't make the cut in terms of like tracks which were even in terms, I think you are quite strict with your curation, which I can respect in a lot of ways, to be fair. Like, I mean, like for example, that track I did with Slayer, that Andromeda track. See that, like, I wanted to like. I think it was almost going to get signed to Hospital, and then I was really excited about that. And then I was thinking like, I mean, when that didn't turn out, I mean, I was always thinking, oh, I really need a melodic track to go on the Overview EP. But then, despite you guys liking it, you were just like not sure if it fits the vibe of the EP. And I mean, in retrospect, I can see why you said that. You know what I mean? It's like, I think you do hold quite.
What did you do with that track in the end? It is coming out, is it? Or it was out?
Yeah, so that's coming out on my Guidance EP. So it's definitely still coming out on it. I'm really happy with that. Like it's coming out on a strong home, and I just want to say I really like the Guidance guys are great, and I think that that'll do. I don't know. I do really like that track as well, and I think that it'll play really nice. I just wanted to get it on some sort of like, I'd be happy. You know what I mean? It's not like one label's not so necessarily better than the other. It's just a case of I'd be happy if it went on any of these labels for mine. You know what I mean? So just as long as it goes on one of these labels, which I'm really happy with, and I rate the labels, then you know what I mean? Like that's a success for me. Do you know what I mean? So I'm really glad that one's found a home. But no, I think that trying to think about what tracks we almost put on the Source Code EP, which didn't turn out. I can't really remember now, but there was a few which have remained unsigned.
We tried to get Clock Out remixed as well. That was we were trying that. We're not gonna call anyone out. But yeah, we did try that. Maybe that will still happen. If anyone's got any suggestions for who should remix Clock Out.
I know.
We'll take them.
one man. I know one man whose destiny it
One
is
man who could do the remix. Who is it? Who do you think? Or do you not want to say on air?
to.
Casper. Someone's saying Casper. Casper remix would actually be pretty good.
That would be actually, to be fair, I remember him really enjoying that track, so that could definitely be a motive to people. Actually, to be fair, on the YouTube comments for Halogen, which has just gone live on Skank and Bass, I'm pretty sure the top comment is would love to see a Waze and Nectax collab. So I mean, maybe it's written in the stars or some sort of interaction. But no, I think if War Casper was to do a job on that, I would love to hear it.
Yeah, he'd be. Have you got anyone that you have got collab wise coming, or anyone that you?
Yes, I have actually. So my next release is going to be a collab with Scantia on Ramo. So on L Ram Record. So that'll be. I'm really looking forward to that one. That's a track which me and Scantia obviously. Well, we've been friends for years, and we've been meaning to actually release a track together for so many years, and I think we're finally. Have
you not done it yet?
Nah, honestly, we haven't. Nah, we haven't.
What? Really?
Yeah, literally, we haven't. Like we've dabbled doing tracks together in the past, but they've never. I think we did make one. We did finish one track, but then it got lost in the sort of his release schedule in terms of like it didn't fit on a release, and then a year went by, and then it's like it's an old track, you know what I mean? So, but we made but then we made a thing of it, and we were like, we are going to make a new track together, and we are going to like get it out on Ram, obviously, because he's out the old exclusive out Ram, so it would have to be on Ram. But I mean, I've did a track called Archetype.
How did you meet Scantia out of interest?
I'm pretty sure it was just down the local skate park.
Really? You have known him that long?
Yeah. I've known him. I've known him longer than I've been producing. Like I think we went to the same school. I didn't really know him at school. It was more so just.
Is he same year as you, or?
I think he's 1 year above me, so I'm 23, and I think he's 24 now. I'm pretty sure.
I think he is.
Despite us both looking about 19 years old.
You're lucky while you still can. It will change.
Yeah. But no, yeah. So really looking forward to getting I'm really happy with how the Source Code EP came out, and I'm really looking forward to following up with that thing on Ram with Scant. I think it'll be a nice follow up. So pretty. I mean, I've got a Guidance EP coming out after that, maybe a few months after that. So pretty happy with how my release schedule is, and I've got some other things with some other labels which is yet to be confirmed, but I'm looking forward to hopefully getting that stuff confirmed.
Mate, it all seems to be going really well, man. It really does.
Thank you, Pete. So. Yeah. Yeah, I think one thing on a sort of side note, I think I was really happy to see Waze, Mr. Casper, have his sort of he had his time to shine last year, and I was thinking about what worked for him, and I think it was just like one big part of it was a lot of good music, it was like consistent good music, but a lot of it was in terms of like he released a lot, but you know what I mean, it was like quite a lot, like it was like I don't know if it was. You hear people say like, "Oh, you want like releases out every month or two," and I really think he smashed out like notable releases every month or two, if not every month. I don't even know how much he released precisely.
We were actually going over it. We did look at it because it was because I thought it was quite an interesting. It's an interesting analysis to actually look at his release schedule for, as a producer, if you're gonna like look at what look at what worked in a way, like in terms of what put him on the map. I mean, yeah. I think he had a lot of he had a very broad cross section, I think, of labels, and I think he was clever as well, as in like it was very clever kind of it was an EP followed by a 2-track single, maybe followed by a remix, followed by a 1-track single, folled by
there was a lot of diversity in the sort of, it wasn't just like EP or single. Like I think that's where I think it's always good I'm always looking to see how you can improve different aspects of being an artist, whether it's production or networking or whatever. And I think I was really happy with the music I released last year, but I think that my release schedule was a little bit, could have been better. As in, I think I started off the year, started off the year with Clock Art and Stateless, and I was really happy with how they did. And then I followed that up with 2 collabs with Blade Runner, which did really well as well. And it was like, I started off the year really strong, but then I almost peaked there. And it was
Yeah.
it was like, I mean, and I did have my debut release on Ram out at the end of the year,
Hmm.
which that was good. That was Archetype, which came out on like a Ram Various Artists EP thing. But
Hmm.
I mean, it was I think, and to be honest, I was happy with the tracks I released. Like I released a lot of tunes which I was happy with, but it was more like I did like a skank and bass single, and then like a VA track on Program, like, and then I released a couple of like free download things, which
You probably needed to get an EP in there. Really, I think that's
yeah,
what would have changed.
I totally agree. And then I
Mm,
think
mm,
I've sort of trying to learn from, not exactly learn from my mistakes, but okay, like it wasn't wrong. Like don't get me wrong.
mm,
I think
mm.
I was still
Did
really
the
happy
right
with.
thing at the right time, in a way.
But I think yeah, and I think this year I'm just gonna try and get out. As in, I think I've been sitting on tracks for quite a while. Like a lot of the Source Code EP tracks were made, or I think the vast majority of them were made earlier on last year, and so I've been sitting on the tracks for quite a while, and now
Mm,
seems like a great time to release them. Like I just had a remix, like I just had this sort of nice jungle remix come out last month, and then I've
mm,
got this like 6 tunes which I'm pretty happy. I mean, I'm really happy with. You know what I mean? I think
mm,
that
mm.
should be enough. I think in terms of like sort of having a boom, but like climax, sort of in terms of like each one, I don't know, but you know what I mean.
Mm,
It's like
mm.
building up momentum. I think that concept of momentum in terms of hype as an artist is something which you've got to appreciate that it exists into like it really does,
How
and
you
that
really are able to break through and
yeah,
make a real impact, in the scene. Yeah, well, we've had to take it on board in that way in terms of how you'd run a record label and how you release that. And but yeah, it's obviously it's just the time, I think, and obviously now should be good for really, if obviously opening up now, doing
yeah,
this full time.
totally,
Yeah.
and I think it's. I know I'm feeling pretty positive. Well, I think it's good to believe in yourself to a certain extent. You know what I mean? Like as long as you don't get too big headed, I think it's good to have to like give you credit where I don't know. You know what I mean?
Give
It's
yourself
just like
credit where it's due. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. And I think sort of believing in yourself that you can. That's the sort of what I was trying to touch on before, and I try and get this across to people when I do sessions with them. Is like you can achieve realistically within drum bass what you want to achieve. You know what I
Mm,
mean? It's like
mm,
if you might take 2 years, it might take 10, but like if you set yourself goals, like I want to work on X label, there is a route, there's a tried and tested sort of path to getting there. And if you consistently work on your tunes, if you're always trying to up your game and network with the right people, and like you can achieve stuff, like it's like
mm.
it doesn't happen quickly, and some people do get lucky and might blow up quicker than others. But if you keep, I firmly believe that you can. You know what I mean? Like it's only a matter of time.
Yeah, make an impact, and yeah, do it. Be able to do it for a living. Be able to make a career out of it.
Totally. I think, and the same goes. I think for anyone involved in drum bass. I mean, I've mainly got experience as a producer, obviously DJing as well. But I'm talking maybe from your perspective as a label. I would feel. I'm sure that you feel a similar way in terms of like you've got your vision like with overview, and it's like, and I think anyone who knows their stuff or like can see that what you're doing, and then
Mm.
just a matter of like boom boom. I totally see overview being like a massive label in like on par with like I think up there with all the big labels in like a few years time. Totally, I can see that. So
See what happens, man.
yeah,
You gotta have that. Have those dreams. Have that belief.
yeah.
And just
It's just like I think. Well, if you like take actions towards making it happening, you know what I mean. It's like I don't know what it's called. I don't know what this is some word for it. Basically, like if you genuinely think it can happen and you try do what you can, like opportunities. It's almost like looking out for positive opportunities. I don't know what it is,
mm,
but just like it's like when you have a negative mindset towards stuff, your brain will like attach to what like if you're thinking negatively over time, your brain will like try and find negative things to sort of bring you down. I don't know, you know what I mean? I mean,
mm,
whereas like on the opposite of that, if you try and focus on the little successes and then they'll become bigger successes, and then next thing you know, like just take advantage of any opportunities you get and sort of try and just be more of a yes man. I think
mm,
in
mm.
terms of when people go, oh, do you want to do this thing? Oh no, I can't be bothered, mate. It's more just like, yeah, I'll go on, let's make it work. You know what I mean? It's like that
Pushing
sort
it,
of
like pushing yourself. That little bit, that like saying that determination, or
yeah.
and looking at it in a positive way. I'm just going for it and seeing what happens. I guess as well. It's like, you never really know. But like you said earlier, you don't want to be, you don't want to be living your life like always thinking, oh, what if,
Yeah.
what if, what if I'd have done this, what if I'd have done that, at least if you do it, you won't have to say that. If it works, it works. Sometimes it doesn't, but
totally, no, totally. This is what it's funny you say that. Like, I think I know I mentioned before that like so me, Scant, Planet Gold, blah 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 blah. We come from a similar cohort, and we're all sort of growing in our different ways. There are a lot of producers from that similar cohort who were like perhaps, maybe you might class as being at their peak. They were maybe, wait a minute, at the time I felt they were bigger than me, but then they just stopped doing it, and it's like now then if you keep at it, you surpass where they were and some. You know what I mean? It's like there's a lot of I can't think of anyone in particular now, but I can totally think of, like, I remember having like 500 followers on SoundCloud, and like seeing people, like seeing producers with like 3,000, 4,000 followers being like, wow.
Yeah.
and then it's like, and they're just like, oh, I like your tunes, you should have more followers. And I'm just like, oh yeah, well, I mean, I'm just doing what I'm doing. And then like they end up stopping doing it, and then next thing you know, you've got like, not that it's about followers, but you know what I mean, it's like
the momentum builds, and you can actually surpass, or you become something even more. I feel that.
And I think that it's just a matter of determination, and I think just having your own vision, like not being just trying to. It's hard to say this sort of thing without sounding cliche, but it's
all about the cliches.
I think just finding, I don't know, whatever your musical influences are, just because drum and bass is such a diverse genre, you can do anything really, and it's just like if you work out what you're going to bring to the table, and then this is another key part I've found is actually getting the tunes to the right people. Like a lot of the times when I'm like promoing tracks and emailing stuff out, I don't just send all tunes to everyone. I'll be like, right, who do I think would like this track specifically? And it makes it a bit more personal. And then I think people are more likely to support your stuff if you just treat it more like everyone's just a person. You know what I mean? It's like so-and-so might like this sort of track, I'll send him it. So-and-so might like this sort of track, give him a little bit of a, you know what I mean? It's like, rather than just being like, I mean, some people, I'm not dissing anyone who just does mail outs and stuff, because I think there's totally pros and cons to different methods. But yeah, I think just
try and be a bit more clever with it.
Yeah, definitely. That's just my approach to doing it. Not to say that if anyone does it differently that it's wrong. It's just like, just find whatever you works for you, and what's something you can do regularly and you can do every day, or every day forever.
Is there anything that you could tell your younger self now that you've learned, that you'd look back at, like the early producer?
Definitely, and that would be, don't be afraid of sending stuff to big labels, because they'll probably give you time of day if you, like, you know what I mean? Like, I totally feel like I've been in chat. Well, I'm still in conversations with certain big labels at the minute. There's a lot of really hope that hopefully things will work out with certain areas, but basically there's you know what I mean? Whereas like however many years ago, I would have thought like, that's just a pipe dream. But really, if you make good music and network correctly, and then get to know people who like you, you know what I mean? If you put a bit of thought in, rather than just sending tunes to the demo email, you actually think about, right, which people are involved with the label? Oh, so-and-so. Well, then maybe get tunes to them, and then before you know it, they're sending tunes to other people in the label, and then before you know it, you're on the label's radar, and then, you know what I mean? It's just that sort of
never know who might end up getting it, who might support you.
Yeah, exactly. And I just think that being ambitious, probably, if I would summarize it, just be ambitious, because you know what, as a northern saying is, shy bands getting out.
Shy bands getting out.
So basically means, so bands is kids, and shy obviously is shy, so like, and now is nothing, so it's like shy kids get, basically, if you don't ask, you don't get, sort of like, without being rude, like sort of, you have got to put yourself out there a little bit, from my experience. And I think you just got to accept that not everyone's going to like everything you do, but if you like it, and most people like, you know, don't get too caught.
You'll find someone.
Yeah, don't get too caught up on like a few different people not like, or like whatever, because I think that's inevitable. Like, if you like what you're doing and you know it represents you, then
that's what matters.
And I'm sure you'll find some sort of success.
There you go. There's the secrets. There's the secrets behind how to make it as a drum and bass producer in 2021. I'll tell you what. I reckon if you're up for it, we might well sort of like call it fairly soon. But it's been like
That was quite a nice way to. That was quite a nice note, positive note to sort of end
positivity.
it on.
Yeah, this is it. You know, you're trying to end it on a positive, and don't let your dreams be dreams. Follow your dreams, and all that. So yeah, but yeah, man. Look, it's been really good to have you on, and you know, it's really good to hear a bit more about obviously, you know, what you're doing and where you come from, and your philosophy behind your music. Is there any like big ups or shout outs you'd like to give to anyone to close it off?
Yeah, no, I definitely big up a lot of I think the Northern crew. Like, I think in terms of like, I really think the Newcastle will have its time in the future. I mean, it's getting there now, but I think like obviously Scant, yeah, like we've got Chris Castro, they're both good friends of mine. Then Harry Hexer, also a good friend of mine. Like Kyle, KL.
Big up.
Let me think. I'm trying to think who. There's a few other lads, but there's a few of his cover Doms as well. There was a few other people. But yeah, and also I wanted to give a shout out to Blade Runner, because I think he was sort of one of the first bigger producers who would sort of consistently support all my tunes and give me a time of day when other bigger producers might not. So I think him doing tunes of his sort of was a good. It was just
good stepping stone, and yeah, a good person to be able to soundboard off of. So yeah, big up to Blade Runner. Have you got any shows coming up you can tell us about, just quick?
Yeah, sure.
Let's get them out. Let's get my scroll out.
I think I think alongside a lot of other producers, I think like it was going to be my busiest time ever for bookings when COVID. You know what I mean? It probably was for most people, but it was for me also. So I mean, like obviously a lot of things got postponed or cancelled, and thankfully a lot of them bookings have sort of rolled on over to this year. So what have we got? Nothing. It's not a crazy long list, but there is a few different. Let me just I don't know why I can't find it, but yeah. So something in Leeds in July with Disruptor.
What day is that? July the.
That is July the 2nd. I think it's actually the same night. It's actually the same.
Yeah.
So I've got something. I'm in Loughborough in June, which will be good, and that's just and then on July the 2nd, I'll be in Leeds back to back with Disruptor at some point in the night, and then I've got that you've wanted to get me down for an overview night in Manchester, which is on the same night.
Yeah.
So remember that one. So we're going to make that. I mean, if you want to make that happen, I'm willing to make that happen. So
yeah, we need to talk. We do need to talk about that actually, because logistically, well, we'll talk about it. But yeah. We'll have some more shows coming up.
But then I've just got a couple of other Bristol shows and a couple of Newcastle shows, and then just waiting to get other stuff confirmed. But looking forward to seeing people and playing tune. You know, it's all feeling positive about things sort of coming back together.
Yeah. No, that's
but definitely looking forward to hopefully getting on some more overview shows, because it was great playing at that the last one, and good seeing all of the overview family. It was just good.
That was a crazy. I don't know what I was thinking trying to do that one last year, but we pulled it off. So no, mate, definitely, man. We'll have to. We got some things. We got things happening. It's pretty crazy at the moment, and hopefully, fingers crossed. It's all coming back, and we're gonna be, being able to party again. But yeah, well, look, man. Thank you very much for your time this evening.
Pleasure.
Obviously, probably should shout out just one more time for anyone that is listening or watching. That the Source Code EP by Nectax is going to be out tomorrow, Friday. They're going to be available on Spotify, Beatport, and it may be on Bandcamp as well. But so yeah, you'll be able to catch all that. And yeah, cheers to anyone that has been watching, and thank you very much, Ollie, for doing this tonight. And I'll talk to you very soon.
No problem. Well, take care, everyone.
How would you say goodbye in Geordie? Isn't it? I'll be the same pet. Is that actually a thing, or?
No. I didn't know.
That's not a real thing.
See you a bit, mate. Take care, mate.
I'm not even gonna try and do that myself.
See you tomorrow.
Yeah. All right. I'll see you tomorrow, mate. I'll see you tomorrow.
Nice one. Well,
All right, mate.
farewell. See you
All right.
later.
All right. Bye, everyone.